let's get them right in and also show my face on stream. What's up, everybody? How are you doing this fine evening? I hope you're doing well. And let's get Wes and Michael up as well. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Wonderful. How's it going?
Hey, Lex. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good here as well. Wes, I understood that you had a bit of a travel just before this live stream.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. Yeah, I mean, 24 hours or something flying. It's all good fun.
Wes just flew in from Australia to the United States and just got from the airport onto this podcast. What a champ.
We're here for press conf, which is happening in Tempe in Arizona across this week. Large number of executives from across the WordPress space, hosts, executives from WordPress, executives from a lot of agencies and plugin developers, all meeting together to discuss the future of WordPress to a certain extent and the journey that we're all on together. So it's going to be a great week.
Exactly. That's in Arizona. So I'm at my house in Chicago suburbs, and I'll be flying to Arizona tomorrow also. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wes and I will be in Tempe, Arizona at PressConf. So if anyone in the audience is attending, come say hello.
So you hear it here. Where can they find you? Is there some kind of booth you have, or some other place that they can find you?
Not a booth, but it's a small event. I mean, we'll be there wearing our Rapyd hoodies, so you come say hello. We are a sponsor of the event, but we don't have a booth at this one.
All right, so you can recognize them. So guys, if you see them, try to hit them up and get to know them as well. And that's also what we are doing today, getting to know you guys. I've seen your podcast and that you have been on before. I'm very interested in the things that you're doing and the technology that you're using. It's really awesome. Maybe you can do a little bit introductory of yourself, and maybe we can start off with Michael and then go to Wes.
Sure, I'll start. So I'm a co-founder of Rapyd Cloud with my business partner Tom, and Wes is our server architect, among other things. Wes is he'll talk about himself, but he's a genius who has architected our whole server stack. Personally, I'm a kind of serial entrepreneur. I've had 2 previous companies prior to this one. The last one was Buddy Boss. People in the WordPress space may have heard of it. Is a really popular community social networking platform that Tom, my partner, we built prior to Rapyd Cloud. And just high level, our customers there, the number one problem they faced was that they could not find adequate hosting. When you're hosting a site that is dynamic, the kinds of WordPress sites where you have people logged in at the same time, not just people visiting it like a marketing site, but an actual dynamic site where people are logged in, interacting with each other. So like a community, e-learning, a job platform, e-commerce, any of these types of verticals, people face scaling issues almost immediately. 20, 30 concurrent users and it slows down. And so Rapyd Cloud was launched as a solution to this problem. We are the fastest, especially at scale, as you scale up with your user base or with concurrent users, we are the most scalable hosting in the world. So when you have just 1 or 2 visitors, the site it's easy to make a site fast. But when you get hundreds of visitors, especially if they're logged in, the other host will slow to a crawl, and we will maintain our performance, constantly, even at very large scale. And so that's what we've built. We're really excited to talk about it. And with that, I'll hand over to Wes to introduce himself.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that Buddy Boss proposed was that when a site starts to get successful, so they move from we've set it up, we've invited a few of our friends along, and they start to get successful, which means people want to get on the site at the same time, or they want to be on the server at the same time, or they want to be, interacting in a e-learning experience or in a live chat or other messaging experiences. WordPress starts to struggle. Now, that's the complaint that is made of WordPress. What we worked out how to do is to scale WordPress in ways that don't mean WordPress is the problem. Don't mean you have to move to a SaaS, or you have to consider moving to a different platform. WordPress can scale. WordPress can scale very well, and we've got customers with hundreds of thousands of members in membership sites,
Yeah, and
150,000
that's
member
members.
communities.
Yeah, that's not visitors. That's members. These are people who log in. Yeah.
And also moderators and that sort of people, right? I can imagine that if you are running a community platform, what sort of way, you have a lot of people that you need to take into account.
Yeah, it's not just community. I mean, even with Buddy Boss, at least half our customers were doing e-learning. So often what they would do is and we've partnered in the old company with all the most of the learning management systems. It's like LearnDash, Tutor LMS, Academy LMS, all these. So Lifter LMS. And so what people would often do is they'd have courses, and the students would be taking a course, and the site owner, they want their students to be more engaged. They don't want them just some anonymous user taking a course through their site. What they really want is to expand it to be more of like a membership portal where the students are interacting with each other or interacting with a mentor, or maybe they take the course in cohorts and they have a group, like a Facebook type group in the site that they're doing. So what ends up happening is they have all this dynamic content. They have people taking courses independent of each other, different course progression, and members interacting with each other. And yeah, I mean, the WordPress site eventually, with most of the hosts, what would happen is the site would just slow to a crawl, and that's sort of existential to the business. I mean, the business owner has to make the site work somehow. So they would either pay for extremely expensive hosting because the traditional WordPress hosts are not built around this. So they are not efficient at delivering a site like this. So they just have to buy like the top tier plan to have the maximum overhead, which is prohibitively expensive in the long run.
For sure.
They just go straight to AWS. And I mean, Wes would help a lot of our customers. Like they would go straight to AWS and architect some total custom configuration on AWS and make it work. But that would also be expensive and incredibly hard to maintain. You need a server admin basically to manage that, or you have to be a server admin. It's like someone running a WordPress business. They didn't build a WordPress site with the mindset of, I'm also going to hire a server admin. What people want when they're managed, they go to WordPress because you can add plugins and customize, but people still want to run their business like it's a SaaS product. Like they want it to be hands off, especially hosting. What most customers want is managed hosting, where you have a dashboard where you can manage the site and you have customer support, while also having the performance that you want out of the box, which is what we're providing.
That's really neat that you have a scalable hosting, so to speak, right? And I can see that there were some examples that Wes has told in a podcast in the past as well, that you have, for instance, a campaign running, or suddenly you, during a live stream, you introduce a new course, then you have peak moments. And exactly what you're saying is that people that have a traditional hosting will across the board need to have a more powerful server, which costs a lot of money and is not very scalable. So
one of the challenges of WordPress and that is solved by traditional hosting is caching. So what we do is we build page caches, and we build set up our system so that we get great GT metric scores or great Google page scores, but they're all scores based on page caches and logged out users. So it's a landing page. It's the same page being served to every person. It's being cached at Edge, or it's being cached at Cloud, or it's being cached at server. In every one of our situations, the user is logged in. And not just membership sites, WooCommerce sites, the same. So people spend an awful amount of time building their WooCommerce sites, and they get their funnels and everything working really efficiently, and their pages are all caching and loading really quickly. And then they hit the checkout, and 50 people have arrived at the same time, or 100 people, because something's gone viral, and their checkout fails them.
And it's a horrible experience.
It's a horrible experience. We were talking with a site late last year that had a viral moment. They know that they had somewhere between 15 and 20,000 checkouts being attempted. The server crash. they do not know how many sales they lost because the server just gave up completely. And that's the challenge with WordPress. What Rapyd does is find a solution to that problem that can deliver dynamic sites, completely individual experiences per page load, per customer, per checkout, per course in real time. And we can scale that as high as customers need to go by
That's
thinking
really
differently
awesome.
about the problem.
Instead of approaching it from, all right, you have to have a fixed server, you can scale it up. I've seen a guy named Theo, T3.gg. I'm all over YouTube, by the way. He's also explaining all kinds of things about development, but also about server. And he is in one of his videos, he touched about fluid computing, where you can have different servers for the backend and the virtualization, and also different virtualization for the front end. And depending on how many users, it will spin up automatically a new virtualization for the front end and backend, so you can scale infinitely.
In a traditional computing space, that works, but in the WordPress space, we encountered design challenges that are inherent in WordPress. Unfortunately, WordPress's best features are also its biggest problems as we scale. The biggest issue is the database. It's a database system that really literally runs in 3 tables or 4 tables, as a post user and a couple of meta tables. And WordPress then tries to squeeze everything it does into those tables. Which works well for a blogging site with 50 users or a small cart. But as you scale, we have BuddyBoss sites doing 2,500 to 3,000 SQL queries per page request just to render. Well, you think about it, it's an activity feed. It's just like Facebook.
Yeah.
It's pulling in massive amounts of data for every page request. And the busier it gets, the more information's in that activity feed, the more people liking and commenting. If you've got 1,000 people all communicating and conversing about some bit of information, and it could be happening in real time, that data has to be massaged back and forwards between servers and have to be outputted. So the structural challenges for doing this at scale mean the way we designed our system means that we scale vertically. We don't scale horizontally in the same way because horizontal scaling adds technology challenges that, again, thinking back to our customers, they don't want to have to think about. They don't want to have to deal with those complexities. Oh, you mean I've got to have 10 different servers all clustered together in nodes? They don't want to have to worry about that. So we've designed a system that allows us to scale vertically and allows us to add CPU cores and memory as the customers need them in real time, in a way that the customers don't even need to think about it. At the end of the day, they go about doing what they want to do. They have a dashboard which is clean, stylized, very simple to use, and delivers on the challenges that the customer wants. They don't want a complex, user experience in a dashboard with 1 million buttons. They want a dashboard that says, what are my WordPress plugins doing? What are my themes doing? What is WordPress doing? Is my backups running? Oh, underneath it, there's a whole server infrastructure, but I don't need to know about any of that. I just need that really clean, tidy dashboard experience. And that's what Rapyd built.
Yeah, that's so. Instead of relying on caching, which you can't with the community and the checkout because people are logged in, then having caching is a really big problem. You need a different kind of solution, and
we do use some very intelligent caching in our database. So we use a tool called Redis. And 2 products called Relay and Object Cache Pro, which actually allow us to cache some of those. Remember, we were talking about thousands of database requests. Well, we can actually cache those commonly used requests. So the activity feed might have 1,000 users or members. It's got their username and profile and the avatar link and all that data. We can cache that so that the database doesn't need to be hit every time. We can cache that in memory in an object-based cache. So that can get significant acceleration and significant performance improvements and allow us to scale again without that level of complexity.
That's really awesome. I can. How do you come up with these kinds of ideas? You see a way in the market that indeed is not solved by traditional companies, and how do you come up with these kinds of solutions? How when did you find it, and how did you know that the technology exists, or was it just
Yeah,
experimenting?
I'll tell you from I'll tell you from my side. I mean, what Wes has been doing server things and infrastructure and tech in general for 40 years. Wes has books
Okay.
on he has books on Amazon that you can buy right now about Netscape and HTML and JavaScript and stuff like that. So Wes has been thinking about this problem forever, not specifically WordPress, but just tech and servers, infrastructure, and everything. From my perspective as the business owner in my previous business, I ran Buddy Boss from 2010 until last year. So I've been in this industry for 15 years, and this problem has existed for the entire time. People have always asked. I mean, for me, it's like this problem is obvious. I didn't have to do a lot of research to know that this is a problem. So we have thousands and thousands of customers, and constantly the main problem people are talking about is the performance. Constantly people, and it's frankly it was frustrating because they'd blame us. They'd basically say, and I understand why, but they'd say our site is slow. It's your product. It's like, well, for sure there are things we could have improved in the product, and the new owners are improving also, and we've always tried to improve things in the product. But that's only like 10% of the problem. 90% of what's providing the slowness is the server, that it's just exponentially harder to host a dynamic website than a static site. And the hosts that are out there don't solve for this. And so we've known that was a problem, but we didn't really know how are we going to go about solving it, but we've known it was a problem. So we would recommend different hosts, and none of them were great. They would go on a host and their site would reach a certain level of concurrency and a lot of logged in users. And the host would start turning services off. They'd turn off Ajax, they'd turn off APIs to our app and stuff and say, hey, this is overusing the resources, and the customers complain or whatever. So in the background, a number of things happened. One, in I think 2020, we launched our app. So we had in BuddyBoss, we had our community platform, which is a plugin and a theme. And we launched an app, which is a unique kind of WordPress product. It's a native app, native app built in React that is on Android and iOS. So if you're the business owner, it's white labeled. You go in your iOS or your Android store, and you publish an app that is connected to your website through APIs. So you have like Facebook on the website and Facebook on the phone. And also we have the courses in there and stuff. And it's all through APIs. And this was is an awesome product. Customers really enjoy the app, but it's all connected through APIs. So it actually, in some sense, amplifies the problem because now you have even more concurrency, more API requests. But what it did for us, one thing is we learned internally as a company, servers were never our core competency. So we were never the right company to solve this early on. But once we started launching the app, they became a core competency because we had to figure this out and hire sysops and DevOps and everything and create build servers. So whenever a customer wanted a new app, whenever they wanted to upload a new version of their app to the app stores, or they wanted to test some new version or do development and test it on their phone, they'd have to create a build. And you have to send that to a build server. So we had AWS build servers for the Android builds, and we had we were renting basically Mac Minis from Mac Stadium to do Apple iOS builds. And we learned this became a core competency of the company. We were running servers, doing builds all the time. And we had DevOps and sysops people monitoring it. We had tools for it. So we started getting good at that. Meanwhile, in our Facebook group, we have people complaining about my site is slow, Buddy Boss is not fast enough. What do I do? Should I leave? Should I this? And Wes would go and DM the people in Facebook and say, hey, let me help you. And then they'd pop up sometime later saying, hey, thanks, Wes, you fixed my site. And he's going in and setting up like custom AWS setups for them. Okay.
Nice.
This is going on in the background. Customers are stuck going direct to AWS and having to manage that without a managed host anymore. But that was working, for them. And then at some point we released an update to BuddyBus, to our product. BuddyBus version 1.9, I believe, was the one where we spent months improving just the efficiency of the product, and so that it would run a bit faster. And we wanted to publish to the customers proof that it's actually a lot faster. But that's hard to prove because, it's, like Wes was saying, it's not just like Google page speed that can tell you the result. When we say it's faster, what we really mean is when you have thousands of people logged in, sending messages to each other, doing all the stuff, it's faster there. That's when it's, so you have to simulate that. And we wanted to write some blog posts and do some promotion proving that this version's faster. It took us months to come up with the data and figure out how to simulate all that. And we publish our results. And the same day, Wes is publishing on Facebook, and he doesn't work for us yet. He's publishing on Facebook, hey, they're right, it is faster. And he's publishing his results from that he just put the day we went live. So Tom calls me, he's like, we got to hire this guy. So we brought in Wes, and we say, hey, we've been wanting to build a solution to this problem forever. Why don't you come in and we're going to take what you've been doing and put a team behind it and build and take I'm a UX UI guy. I manage the product. So I'll work with you. I'll work on the user experience and make a really awesome managed dashboard. And we have a lot of industry expertise. First off, BuddyBoss is like probably the hardest thing to host as a community of a WooCommerce site, an e-learning site, a job platform, any of these use cases. A community is the hardest because it's updating in real time all the time, and it's so much interaction, so much API requests. So we've solved this already for the hardest use case, which means by its nature, out of the box, we're already the fastest WooCommerce host in the world. So, just sort of as a byproduct of doing this, we're the fastest for all these use case scenarios, and we're leaning in on that. So we've built in, if you have a WooCommerce site, we've built in special tools that you can add for the WooCommerce site that cache the cart and all this stuff, and
Elasticsearch as well.
Elasticsearch, so that if you have a big catalog of products, when you search, it can give you the results right away. So we're leaning into all these use cases and making sure we're the best at all of them. But that's really the story of how we figured all this out and how we got to where we are right now.
Part of it as well is about redefining the problem space, and starting with a different hypothesis. So the problem is multiple components, and they all intersect with each other. It starts with extremely high performance servers. What's happening when you render a page dynamically is it's got to build and run through all that PHP code and all those plugins that the customers insist on loading. We've got customers with 150 plugins installed. Every time,
customer, by the way.
Every time the page runs, the code's got to go through all of that. It's got to start at the top, run down through all those plugins, and it's got to do it over and over and over and over again. So we started with looking at the problem in those spaces. How do we get that window, the amount of time it takes for all that plugins to run, as fast as possible in a server-based environment? And we started with optimization tools. We're looking at things like optimized performance in OP caching, just-in-time compiling of PHP, and then looking at the server that you put that on. Again, got to be the highest performance servers that are currently available in that space. We also then went, well, that's fine. We can buy a really fast server, but what happens when 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people try to log on? How do we scale that as well? And by partnering with platforms like AWS, we can scale to 192 CPU cores, the better part of a terabyte of memory in a server. And that gives us an awful lot of headroom. And we do it in a vertical stack as opposed to by trying to add complicated horizontal scaling. Not saying that we don't and can't horizontally scale as well, but it's a secondary feature. It's not a primary feature. We want to scale vertically first. We want to keep everything in the same stack. We want to keep everything running as highly optimized and as efficient as you can. You do that at the server level by optimizing your Linux core, by optimizing your database stack, by optimizing your WordPress stack and your PHP stack. So we looked at the whole problem holistically. We also then looked at the things that customers add that slow their sites down. One of the biggest challenges, and we identified it time and time again, is that customers rightly go, well, security is an issue for us. So we need to install a security plugin. Security plugins, to be efficient, are unfortunately some of the most underperforming plugins that you can possibly install.
Why is that the case?
Because they're doing so much work.
Mm.
It's the PHP, it's that code. So you've got to install a security plugin and you put it inside WordPress, and it's you've added another plugin. It's a very complex plugin. It's supposed to be scanning all those files and folders, but it's trying to do it inside the WordPress code stack.
It's doing it all the time.
All the time. And so you plug in and you're reducing your performance. So what we did was say, well, let's look at the things that we can pull out. So we pulled security outside of WordPress, and we run it at the server level. It looks into WordPress, it looks into PHP and monitors all those things in real time, but you don't need a WordFence, all-in-one security. They're all good products, but they struggle under dynamic load. So we, again, address the problem by separating the spaces, by moving things out where we can, by moving things like the way we object cache. We use tools like Redis, which are outside of the WordPress space, but we take those further out by using tools like Relay. And Relay takes a lot of the work that used to run in plugins like Redis object cache and plugins like that, and moves it again outside the server space. So everything we can move outside PHP frees up PHP to do the thing it needs to do, which is build that page.
Backups also. People add backup plugins, and we do all out at the server level.
Yeah, that's something that I'm also very fan of. When possible, try to not do everything within WordPress itself. So what can be done? The caching perhaps can be done like Cloudflare can solve that, right?
We even move all of our page caching. So, people use great plugins like Rocket.net and plugins like those, but they all run inside WordPress. It's something else running in there. So again, if you take all of that, move it outside, we use Lightspeed Enterprise servers where page caching runs natively in the server. Again, it's not another big chunk of PHP code building the page cache and managing it. We move those things out. So it's about optimizing at all points through the stack, and doing it in such a way that our customers don't need to think about it. They get a database. They get database optimization. They get an amazingly efficient dashboard. They get backups. They get, malware protection. The only plugin there, ironically, that we actually install partially in a customer's dashboard is PatchStack. And we do that because PatchStack needs to be inside WordPress to manage the session information. But even most of that, in our dashboard, if you go to our PatchStack page, PatchStack's natively integrated into our dashboard, and the customer can control all their PatchStack configuration from inside our dashboard. So again, they don't need to do that inside WordPress. So it's finding all these ways to optimize the platform and the stack efficiently.
That's just insane that you do so much things from the hosting side instead of needing to add another plugin to solve a issue that WordPress then creates actually. It's a different way of thinking, and I really like it, that you try to solve things on the hosting level instead of doing everything in the PHP code. With trying to set it up, what are the biggest challenges that you have been coming across in trying to get this run?
The biggest challenges we've had we spent years building the product for one thing. We started we started working on this in 2022
Yeah.
and launched publicly in
That's cool.
January of 24. So we spent probably 2 years building all this. So we faced a lot of challenges in creating the whole stack and making it all work the way we want it, with an easy to use dashboard, and there's a lot of challenges in running a hosting company. There's the server stack, there's the user experience, and there's also customer support. So we have to handle all that. So you can look up Rapyd Cloud on Trustpilot. We have 4.9 out of 5. Very, very good customer feedback.
Nice.
First time to response for most people is under a minute in our live chat. We put a lot of work into doing that. So we had to go as a business and find people who are experienced in doing hosting customer support. So we have our customer support team is a mixture of buddy boss type people who are developers we brought in, years ago, and people who specialize in hosting support. So that's been a challenge. Something that team, since going live, the challenge is really solving all the needs that the customers have and making sure we're ahead of the curve. I would say right now the biggest challenge or the biggest issue some customers have had that we are solving is multiple sites per environment.
Wow.
So currently, when you buy from us, you buy one plan and you can put one site on one plan, right? And the reason is because that is the best way to get really, really fantastic performance. We can dedicate everything on the container to that one site and give it insane performance. And even if you had multiple sites on a container, we would still, or on an environment, I should say, we'd still recommend if you have a high resource site, a dynamic site, that you put it on its own container. However, that's been one of the challenges that we've had is a lot of customers want to have a bunch of small sites clustered on one container because it's cheaper for them to manage. So that is a project we've been working on.
Some of them might just want to have a big site, and they then might want to have a lot of sales funnel sites.
All combined.
Lead gen type sites. So
yeah. So we've been working on that for a long time, and that will go live soon in May, beginning of May. Multiple sites per container. So that, I would say that's of our current offering, that's probably the biggest challenge we've had with that's for some customers. They really need the multiple sites per environment for it to make sense when they have a bunch of sites. That's being solved. That's going to go live really soon. The entire product team is hands-on to get that done, and we're excited about that.
I think the other challenge that happens in this space is navigating the way you communicate this sort of product, because it's a different sort of product, because we think so differently. We have to. If you're a traditional GoDaddy or a SiteGround or somewhere, you understand what you're getting. You're getting a cPanel control, and you're getting something, and you understand what you're getting. With Rapyd, this concept of dynamic scalability is very unique, and helping customers understand what that means is part of our problem space. You see, most of our customers are incredibly shaped, and what I mean by that is that across the course of a day or across the course of the week, there are times of day when there's no one there, and there are times of day when there's a lot of people there. In the traditional hosting space, you have to go and buy the biggest server you need for that biggest hour, day, or week of the month that you need. That means a lot of expense sometimes to just be ready for that viral moment, or we've got customers that he does one sale a month. He's a learning product, and they sell LearnDash courses, but they only do a sale once a month, and during that time they have lots of people on their platform. For the rest of the month there's no one there. Well, when I say no one there, they're doing their courses, but it's that big checkout day. So they have to buy a massive server, and they're paying massive amounts for it. What we did was design a system that allows people to effectively average out their usage across the month. So we can say to a customer, all right, let's assume that you're going to be this busy on average. It might be, we might say 700,000 visits a month or something like that. Now, providing you don't consume those 700,000 visits on day one, then we can tailor a plan that'll let you average that out so that the busy periods, you can handle your 1,000 customers. The quiet periods, it all averages out. So we designed a system that thinks differently. The challenge with that is getting customers to understand what that means.
Yeah, how you can do that scaling.
That's an education piece, and we've worked a lot with our sales teams and when talking with customers about it as well to help them understand.
Was someone asked, I'm going to bring this up because it's related to what you're talking about. Someone, Jonathan, asked in the comments, if someone is on one of our smaller plans and they need a bigger plan, and the site gets many hits at once, we'll automatically upgrade the package so the site doesn't crash. So the concern is if he's on a smaller plan, what happens?
We won't automatically upgrade it because obviously there are costs involved in that. But all of our plans effectively have double their utilization sitting there ready to be used at any point in time. So in a traditional space, if you think about someone bought an AWS instance for maybe 8 CPU cores and 16 gigabytes of RAM, in our space, we actually give them access to 16 CPU cores and 32 gigabytes of RAM as a buffer. So they have all this extra processing and resources. Our technology actually allows them to give us the much larger buffers, but most of our customers feel comfortable with that double bonus because it gives them a lot of headroom. So that allows us to buffer if someone starts to get really, really busy. Now, if they do start to get busy and the customer becomes aware of it, our technology also allows them to move them to another plan in real time. In fact, statistically, it's about 3 seconds of downtime because we have to tell Linux underneath it. If we tell Linux that it's now got 64 CPU cores, the only way to do that is to reboot Linux. So we have to have a micro downtime, but we can literally do that for a customer in real time, and we do it for customers. We have a tool which is not available in the dashboard yet. It's called Boost.
But they can do it for themselves. Just to be clear, the customer can in the dashboard. You can upgrade your plan yourself, and it will instantaneously upgrade your resources. They don't have to ask us. But go ahead.
But we have a tool coming called Boosts where they can proactively do that. A customer will be able to say, "Hey, next Tuesday, I'm launching a new product, and I'd really like to have double or triple my available resources for the day." And they'll be able to book that with us. That's a feature that's coming.
That is awesome. So book your server
literally gives it for the day, and then it turns them off, and then it switches it back the next day. And
because now it's happening that someone from customer service needs to do some signaling to the sysadmin, and the sysadmin then can scale it up. Or
exactly.
But that's awesome.
It's about thinking about the problem differently.
And thinking about the user experience as well. That you have an infrastructure that you can scale up easily. By understanding that you can need instant more resources. Sorry for the for my sentences, but and having then done that and reserve it proactively on pages that cannot be cached because it's not available. That's just awesome. And how do you think about the user experience and create on that part? I mean, as a chief product officer, you can maybe tell a little bit how that went.
My philosophy on user experience is that I want everything to be as easy to use as possible. So you want features to be discoverable, but very, very simple. So we try as hard as we, this is a technical product at the end of the day, but we try as hard as we can to build the dashboard in such a way that somebody who is a business owner can manage it. Now, that business owner might have a tech person, a lead developer, something who actually manages it, and that's great. But we don't want this to be like a product that you need to be, if you want to use AWS directly, they have a certification program. You can get certified to use AWS. That's not our target customer. Our target customer is a business owner. So we want it to be as simple to use as possible. And our dashboard is, you could say, a minimalist design style, easy to use, friendly, but very powerful. So powerful, not just in the sense that you can redeploy a server and things like that. We know what happens when a site starts to crash because it's overwhelmed. But the business owner freaks out. The site goes offline, it's stalling, no one knows what's going on. And if it truly crashes, you get a white screen, and then you really don't know what to do. And you're the business owner.
It's terrifying. Yeah,
I've been there.
sure.
Yeah. So we know the problems that customers face, and we know the things people use to try to optimize the performance of the site. And as much as possible, we try to build those as tools in the dashboard. So if something were to go wrong in our dashboard, we have one for security. We have monarchs in there, and you can see all the malware that's been patched. You can see from Patch Deck all the plugin issues that have been patched. You have visibility to it in the dashboard. And we have, if the site were to crash for some reason, or something, when you updated something and it broke something, we have the ability to restore. We do automatic backups, and we have the ability to restore to a backup point. We also have the ability in the dashboard to roll back a plugin version, and to update plugins and themes in the dashboard, which you can do in WordPress, but if you have a white screen, you can't. So we have the ability to do all that in the dashboard. We have the ability to edit your PHP to INI settings in the dashboard. Seems like a small thing. Most hosts make you contact the support to do that. We know, because we know people to optimize performance do those types of edits in there. We have the ability to manage cron jobs in the dashboard, to run WP cron through the server level that can be turned on in the dashboard, which helps performance. That's the whole philosophy. I mean, there's other tools too. That's sort of the whole philosophy, is keep it really simple, but for the power users who want to be able to do stuff to optimize the performance and or to debug issues, we're trying to add all those tools for you in the dashboard.
That's really awesome, because at my day job, I'm WordPress specialist at a day job, and that we are using a server where you need to go on the server itself, so you have to FTP in to change all those settings, and being able to do that in in the dashboard makes it so much easier, and that you're not reliant on the performance and that the server is up, but you can do the changes. Meaning, if you have the white screen of that, then your website just doesn't work, and then you need to figure out where the thing is, what went wrong, and then you have to debug everything. And if the white screen then is still persistent, you have the issue, and maybe it's a plugin that needs to be updated. So I really love that there's a visual way, instead of needing to access the server itself, to make those changes.
One of the other ways that we looked at the platform is in how we as a host observe what's going on.
Yeah.
And we can drill in our observability tools into every customer's server in real time. And we can see what's going on with their CPU loads and their performance loads and their network loads. And we have a team of sysops that do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's their entire role, is to monitor and observe the performance of our stack, and to dive in when customer sites are struggling. We have customer sites where a customer may have been, unfortunately uploaded a plugin that had a vulnerability in it. Monarchs, our security tools, have caught it. But sometimes even the best security tools in the world can't catch a 0-day attack in real time. We get pretty damn close. Sometimes 5 or 10 minutes, and we know that it's a new 0-day attack. But we'll go in and actually fix the customer's site, clean the malware, recertify the site as malware clean, and provide them with a certificate when they wake up in the morning.
So everything is already done.
So we're being proactive, and that's what our customers like. So they don't want the stress. They want to wake up and go, oh, I noticed my server was down for 10 minutes, but our team's already provided them with a report saying, look, we observed a DDoS attack, or there was a malware, it might have been like a spam bot attack on your site, or whatever was going on. Our team dives in real time. They might be proactively managing and blocking IP addresses that are of a bot attack, or sometimes even, unfortunately, some of our customers will do things like enable automatic updates of their plugins. And we'll get a report that says 500 error on their site. We'll put our SysOp team in immediately. Our customer success team will reach out immediately to let the customer know that their site now has a problem. But in most cases, we'll identify the problem for the customer and proactively jump in and make sure that their sites are up and running. Sometimes it's something very simple, like just roll back a plugin for 24 hours while we work with the customer. By doing that, we become a partner with our customers. And our job is to keep their sites up. Because see, as these sites become successful, they have revenues that are dependent on their sites being online. The membership site, Facebook-like, or social community, or an e-learning, the customer paid a chunk of money to do that course. They get grumpy if they can't log on and do it.
Yeah, for sure. If you have a bad experience, you don't want to do anything with the people that have made a course at all anymore. Yeah, I can imagine that. We are up for the time. I really want to thank you both very much for joining this live stream. If people want to learn more about Rapyd Cloud or about you guys, where can they find you?
First off, Lex, thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed coming here quite a bit. Really nice. You can find us rapyd.cloud. That's the first point of contact. Come to the website, and you can read all about everything we're doing on the website. And we're active everywhere else. You'll find us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and everything. But yeah, first thing, come to the website. You can read about us on there, and you can find all our socials.
And we've also got a free trial. If people want to play with the dashboard for a couple of days, we offer 3-day free trials on our platform, so that people can log on, experiment, experience the difference. And sometimes it really is worth experiencing the difference. If you've come from we were talking with a customer on myself and Tom just a few days ago, and they were talking about, I've got to go into WP admin. I'll go make a coffee while it logs in. What do you mean? And we did. He typed log in and waited, and he hit the plugins, and then he waited for 5 minutes. And it's like, well, that's what WordPress is. It's like, no, it's not. It isn't really like that. It shouldn't take 15 seconds or 30 seconds for the WP admin page to load, but customers feel or think, oh, that's just WordPress. He's now on a site that the WP admin opens. He's barely got time to take a sip of his coffee, let alone go and make one. And for him, he's going, my productivity's going to go up. Of course, at the moment, I'm wasting so much time waiting for stuff that I'm trying to edit in a Gutenberg block layout, and I hit save and I have to wait. So his productivity's going up, his functionality, his usability, and his happiness, is the way he put it. He says, I'm actually happy to go into WP admin again. It's about thinking differently.
I guess there are a lot of people that have the experience that with hosting with SiteGround. At least that was my experience in the past. I try to open or do anything within the WP admin. I want to do editing the website. I want to open a page. It took so long. I was like, this is the worst experience that I have ever had.
And that reflects badly on WordPress.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if you have that problem, we're very confident in our product. We have a 3-day trial, and then if you choose to buy, we also have a 14-day refund period. Because we know if people are having these performance issues, that when they come to us, they're solved. So that's where you can find us. Come to Rapyd with rapyd.cloud. You can start a trial. We have live chat support if you want to talk to our chat. If you want to talk to sales and learn about the product, you can go through the chat too, and they'd be happy to do that as well.
100%.
Nice. Thank you, guys. And if anybody wants to check them out, there's also a link in the description down below, and you can use coupon code LEX for a discount. And I want to thank you, both of you, very much for joining this live stream and sharing your experience. It was very interesting to hear
Cool.
how things
Been a
all
pleasure.
went and how it was. And thank you all watchers for watching this live stream. And we'll see each other on another live stream. And as always, keep designing.